According to ESPN, Texas A&M's matchup with Notre Dame will be one of the best 10 games in college football this season.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. On the show today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about the baseball game yesterday. I had a bold take yesterday, which I stand by fully, and we'll talk more about that with the baseball team, and we'll talk more about it. I disagree with some moves that the staff made. We're going to talk about the home games that the Aggies are going to play this season and why I think that, in all honesty, we've discussed the schedule, and I think that the home games, weirdly enough, are going to be what make or break this season rather than the away games, and I'll tell you why. But first, we're going to talk about what ESPN ranks as one of the top 10 best games in all of college football this season, and that is the Aggies matchup with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish which will be in South Bend. And under this, it says the top 10 best games to watch. It says Notre Dame isn't easing into 2025 after a week one trip to Miami. The Irish open their home schedule against an ambitious A&M team that returns starting quarterback Marcel Reed and starts the season with a couple of pretty easy tune-ups. This one will speak volumes about either team's college football playoff prowess and about Notre Dame's new starting quarterback of choice. And, this football game, whether you get a new quarterback from the transfer portal, you get a new quarterback from high school recruiting rankings, or you have a new quarterback that is a player who was on your team and developed, there's going to be concerns. Sometimes guys just don't pan out. You know what I mean? Especially when you've never seen them in, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish uniform. You don't know what they've got in them. And that's going to be the case. Riley Leonard is gone. Notre Dame's going to have a new starting quarterback. And the good news for the Fighting Irish is they're going to, like I said, that matchup with Miami, they're going to find out early whether or not they've got a suitable quarterback. And frankly, this game, I struggle to pull together thoughts on this game because I think it's important, but when you talk about what's going to make or break the season for the Aggies, I mean, I think this is one of those games, but it's going to be a tough game to go win on the road. It just is. Notre Dame, it's a good venue. They're a great football team. They were in the championship game last year, fall short, but they're there. And they return a player in Jeremiah Love, their running back, who is an absolute stud. It is not going to be easy to slow him. I think that he is a future NFL star. And, looking at, and then this ESPN article also then proceeds to list Texas A&M as a potential first-time college football playoff team. It says the Aggies are last on the list because of last year's inconsistency, losing 4 of their last 5 games after looking like a potential playoff team for a skinny minute. With all 5 starters returning on the offensive line and the strong running game, there should be some relief for quarterback Marcel Reed. The Aggies could make a playoff statement early with a September 13th win at Notre Dame. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you want to come out early and make a statement, if Texas A&M wants to come out and say, hey, listen, we're here and we're not going anywhere and we're damn good, then beat Notre Dame in South Bend. That is how you make a serious statement early into the season. And I'm not saying it's going to be an easy statement to make. I mean, I think that we all believe that Notre Dame's going to be really good this year. Are they going to be as good as they were last year? I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying that. I think that they're going to be pretty good, but I'm just saying, if this game was, if we flipped and last year we played them at their place and this year they were coming to Kyle Field, I would have a lot more confidence because, I mean, Riley Leonard, I think he was a good quarterback. I thought that all off season heading into last year. And they have, I mean, Notre Dame, they have a lot of great options at quarterback, but there are still some, I haven't seen a decision. It sounds like it could go a few different directions. So, quarterback is a question mark. And if you're a Texas A&M fan, that's a good question mark for them to have, the most important position on the field. So, yeah, I think the Aggies are going to have to try and find a way. I'll tell you this, if you want to make a statement, like I said, early in the year and say, hey, we really are playoff contenders, go beat Notre Dame and start the year with that 3-0 record. I mean, if you go beat Notre Dame on September 13th, I'm going to be sitting here saying, okay, hey, A&M's legit. I mean, those of you everyday Locked On Aggies heard me talk yesterday about how I believe that Texas A&M is going to be a good football team, but I don't think that I'm buying the whole playoff. I'm not right now. And if you want to, once we get into the season, if you want to change my opinion on that, there's a very simple way to do it, and that is winning that game against Notre Dame. You go win that game against Notre Dame in South Bend, sure, okay, let's roll. I think that Notre Dame is going to, I talked to Brian Smith, who hosts the portal here for our Locked On Podcast Network, and he just, knows a lot about all teams, but he's a big Notre Dame guy, and he says that he thinks, we all know how good that secondary was last year. He believes it has a shot to be better this year, which, I mean, if that's the case, you better hope that Texas A&M is able to get it going in the running game, because it's going to be tough, first big game of the year, first road game of the year. How's Marcel Reed going to play on the road in an environment like that when we haven't seen him probably be tested yet, knowing that your 2 games to start the year are those matchups against UTSA and Utah State. So I think that this game is, now I tell you this, right now, if I was predicting whether or not Texas A&M is going to win this football game, yeah, I would probably lean toward predicting the Fighting Irish to win that game. I would. I'm just being honest. I would lean that direction. But I also do believe that the Aggies will hang around. I'll tell you that. I think that this is going to be a football game where if they lose, it's not by a wide margin. I think this will be a one-possession game, and I think it even could be a type of game where somebody wins this ball game on a last possession, possession type of deal. So, I'm really excited about this football game because I just think that's going to be, we'll see the way the Aggies play against UTSA and against Utah State, but that football game is going to be the one where we really figure out what this team's about, because I just don't think we're going to know until that game. That game's going to be when we learn what the deal is about this team. And I'm hoping that we're pleasantly surprised, but it could go either way. It just really, really could go either way. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not buying it right now. I think that this is going to be a fun football game, ladies and gentlemen. And I think the Aggies are going to stick around. And I think that it's going to be the type of environment that it's not going to be an easy game to go win. And I mean, knowing that game is set for 6:30, does that mean which means, because Indiana's on Eastern time, so it's 7:30 there. So that means it should be under the light. It'll be under the lights in the second half for sure. But this is going to, I think it's tough to say make or break Texas A&M season, because it's one of probably, between the road game at Texas, the road game at LSU, your 3 toughest games of the year. But I mean, if you want to make a playoff, you will have to win one of those 3 games. But to make a playoff, you'd have to go 10-2. And that means that you have to win the rest of your games and win one of those 3 games against Texas, LSU, and Notre Dame. So if you want to make an early move and say, hey, we're here to stay, then go right there and win that that football game. And like I said, I'm not saying it's going to necessarily be easy, but that's how you make your statement. So going to be a good football game. We're going to learn a lot about this Texas A&M team in that game. We're going to talk about the home games, and I've got some thoughts on those that I've been wanting to share with you. And we'll talk about it coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. Just got back from Atlanta with my mom for a Mother's Day trip. Took her to go see the Post Malone concert. We went to a Braves game, saw a walk-off. It was pretty cool. Where did I get the tickets for all of those events at Game Time? Because it is the only place I will ever purchase a ticket for anything. I love the Game Time app. I think it's super easy to use. The best prices. I will always use the Game Time app. I tell all my friends, all my family, if you're buying tickets to an event, you're going to want to do it on Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. So Texas A&M's home games, I think, the road games at Notre Dame, at Arkansas, at LSU, at Texas, and then, of course, at Missouri. Those 5 games, I think are going to be very crucial. But I do feel like the Aggies at least win 2 of them. I feel pretty good about our chances against Missouri and Arkansas. I think we can win both of those games. It then is going to come down to, like I just said a second ago, can you steal one of those games against the either Notre Dame, LSU, or Texas, which won't be easy, but I mean, if you want to make a playoff, you're going to have to do it. So, I think that these home games, though, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be playing some good football teams at home. Those of you know that I am a big believer. These games will make or break what happens because they're kind of sneaky. I mean, I've talked about it. Auburn, I think, is going to be a good team. Florida's going to be a good team. South Carolina is going to be a really good team. The only game that's a guaranteed win on that schedule at home that's not an SEC team is, of course, Mississippi State. I mean, they're going to be pretty terrible, I think. But I mean, I think Auburn. I was talking to some different Auburn folks, some friends of mine, and they're going to be really good. I think that their receiver room is awesome. If they get good quarterback play, Auburn is going to be an elite team. Now, that's a question. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen there. They got, new quarterbacks, but they're going to be elite. We know how good DJ Lagway is. I've talked about it. I am all in on the DJ Lagway bandwagon. I think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick when he's eligible for the draft. I think he's going to win a Heisman before he goes to the NFL draft. I think that he's going to get Florida football in a really good spot because I think that he's an incredibly special football player. I've talked to some of my Florida folks, and I've heard some things that they know how good DJ is, and they believe in the rest of the roster. But, I mean, is there a chance that this roster is held back a little bit by people around Lagway? And I'm not saying that yet. I'm more saying that's still to be seen. That could happen, I guess, is what I'm in essence saying here. So, that is something to monitor if you are a Florida fan. But that game's going to be tough. And then once again, I mean, looking at the South Carolina game, Lenore Sellers is going to be really, really, really good. I talked about him having a good year before the year last year, and I think now he's officially on the scene. People think he's going to be great. He's up there in Heisman, betting odds, and he's going to be a special player this year. At the end of the day, I don't think you can lose an SEC game at home if you want to make a college football playoff. You can't. You have to win those games. I mean, because once again, yesterday I talked about making the case for why I think the Aggies hit the over on 7.5 wins, which I do think they will do. But at the end of the day, that's not my goal. I mean, if you beat UTSA, Utah State, Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, South Carolina, and Samford, that's 7 wins right there. And then I've talked about it. You then have to beat Missouri and Arkansas, and then win one of those 3 games against LSU, Notre Dame, and Texas. You got to win 10 games. And I mean, I'm saying that right now, and I'm sure a lot of y'all are going, there's no way in hell we're doing that. There's no way in the world we're going to win all of those games. I don't disagree with you. This is not going to be easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because it's not going to be easy. It won't be. But making the college football playoff is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be incredibly difficult to do. And looking at this, it's just, if you want to do something special, you're going to have to win some football games that you're not supposed to. So we're going to see what happens in those home games, but I think they're going to be crucial. If you want to just even have a chance to make a playoff, you've got to win those home games. You've got to. And do I feel confident? Once again, I've been very candid. I don't know if I'm a big believer in us making a playoff. I don't think I am. I've said that. I've been very open about that. But I do believe that you're going to have to win every game at Kyle Field to do it, because your road, once again, I mean, exactly what happened. Your gauntlet flipped, and now all those games that you played at home last year are, of course, all on the road, which is why, this thing has gotten a lot tougher. I mean, you got to go to Baton Rouge and to Austin and to South Bend. You're going to play on the road against all these tough teams. Last year, they all came to you. That's the difference. So it's not going to be easy, but you've got to take care of business against these up-and-coming teams in Florida and Auburn and South Carolina. Have to beat them at home if you want to make a playoff. It's going to have to happen. Want to talk about the baseball team. A lot of conversations to be had. We will talk about all of that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at Wayfair. These days are getting longer. The weather's warming up, and people are spending more time outside, which means it's the perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. Whether you're working with the backyard or a small balcony, Wayfair has everything you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair's massive selection of outdoor essentials makes it easy to transform any space into your ideal summer setup, from comfy conversation sets to sleek dining tables and outdoor decor. They've got it all at the prices that fit your budget. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture this summer. Get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. So the baseball team, and me and Big Time Ballas had a conversation about this yesterday. All love, by the way. I think we disagree on this, and I want to talk more about it. So I'll read the conversation between myself and Big Time Ballas. Shout out to Big Time Ballas. I appreciate you always being here. But said, if we take 2 or 3 from Georgia and win 2 games in Hoover, it'll get us in. Kendall Rogers. Yeah, Kendall Rogers. I've met him a handful of times when I covered the World Series a few different times. He's a great dude. I really like all his stuff. But and then Big Time Ballas was talking about the starters can pitch on a 4-day rest. I talked to my dad about this yesterday, knowing that Georgia's really good. We lost yesterday. I didn't see, knowing we'd have to win this series, it was going to be really tough for us to do. And that, of course, is not going to happen. Now, it still could, but I mean, you lose game one, now you're going to have to win 2 in a row. Prager got shelled yesterday. 7 hits, 7 runs, 7 earned, only struck out 1. I mean, got absolutely shelled yesterday. And I haven't heard. Have we heard anything? If anybody's heard anything about Caden Sorrell, let me know. I haven't heard any kind of updates. I know he left the game with that injury. If he broke something, and that's what I saw big time balls. You came and said that too. That's funny. It's a moot point if Sorrell broke his hamate bone. That's pretty funny. But it would sum up the season. But I don't know, guys. I mean, at the conversation now is irrelevant because we've already not done this. But we were never going to win this series in Athens. And I hope that that statement right there is on Old Takes Exposed on Sunday after we somehow do. But I really think Georgia's a special baseball team. I don't see us winning the series, especially if we don't have Sorrell. We've already lost with our, guy on the mound. I don't think we win this series. I wish we would have held off our guys. Because, I mean, to reiterate the point, I guess what I was getting at is, and yes, I meant when I said 7 days. I'm still confused about this, though, big time ballers. What the 7 days? So I'm trying to do mental math because, your local Locked On Aggies host is not the best at math. But if you pitch on Friday, then you pitch the next Friday. I guess that technically is 6 days rest. I guess I get that. I've confused my own brain on that. Like you're pitching once a week. But point being, a lot of these teams don't really care about the SEC baseball tournament. I mean, let's just be honest. They just don't. Now, there is enough time between the SEC baseball tournament and the start of the NCAA tournament that, you start your guys and all that. But because, I mean, regionals, especially if you throw your guys at the beginning. But I guess what I was getting at is, if we're going to have to win a handful of games, if you would have held your starters for the end or for the Tuesday, Wednesday of the tournament, your aces, I think it would have helped you out. And then when you get to the weekend, face everybody's aces. I mean, you have to find a way to get there somehow anyway. So, I don't know. I think I personally, I stand by that. I would have done it, given you a chance. Still, because at the end of the day, Kendall Rogers he's not the end all be all. It's like Joe Lenardi. I mean, I agree. I like Kendall Rogers. He's great at his job and I trust him. But I mean, maybe we win this series. Our RPI took a massive hit after the Missouri series. And I wasn't buying it that even if we win a couple here and there that we sneak in. I mean, I get what he's saying, but I just wish we would have held the starters for the SEC tournament, made a run there. Cause I just think that'd have been our only chance. And now you're going to be throwing your midweek guys. And I just don't see it happening unless like you said, like we talked about, you do throw Prager. He pitched on Thursday. You throw him on Tuesday. It'd be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, if you do that, I'm cool with it. But I don't know what they're going to do yet. We'll have to see. But they could still do that. Throw Prager on short rest on Tuesday or something. We'll see. But we're not in a good spot right now. And I'd put our chances of A&M making the postseason of baseball, I'm putting the chances right now at a solid 1%. I do not feel good about it. That is going to do it for this week here on Locked On Aggies. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. I really, really appreciate it. Hope you all have an exceptional weekend, and we will see you on Monday right here on Locked On Aggies.